What's up, everybody? Yeah. I'm actually super excited for this one. I've heard a lot of great things about Ron. Him and I haven't talked too much, so you guys get to see a genuine first interaction. But like I said, I've heard great things. Obviously, I've seen him on other things. It's just him and I haven't talked too much. But yeah, this is going to be awesome. We're going to start this up like usual. Ron's actually just working out the kinks of his webcam because we had a bit of a technological failure. I sent him the link through email and it bounced back like 10 minutes before we went live here. So not Ron's fault at all. 100%, I guess my fault. I had his email wrong. But yeah, guys, it's Friday night. So you know what that means. Way better. Thank you, Kathleen, for not only fixing the video for me, but then uploading the video for me because I didn't have time. So yeah, huge thanks to Kathleen. Melusine Exotics right here. Go give her a follow on Instagram. Fucking awesome. Thank you so much. Like I said, guys, Ron's just figuring out his webcam. So we're just going to chat here for a second. And I promised Riley I would say hello. Hello. How are you? So I know last week or the week before that, I think it was the week before that, I promised that we would not miss a week moving forward for the next little while. And I'm a shitty, terrible person. I'm a liar. Well, kind of. We're not going to have a typical episode next week. Well, I was going to say unfortunately, but it's actually fortunately. I got news that I got approved for my new place, but the problem is I move next Friday. So I took the day off work, and I'm hoping we can get most of it done during the day. But I'm not too sure. The current plan is, if we have time, and obviously we'll announce it earlier in the day, we're going to do a live episode with Nick and I both here. We're going to cut a clutch prior to going live, and we're going to upload that onto YouTube sometime the following weekend to kind of make up for not having a full live. But then Nick and I together are just going to have a Q&A for Friday Night Live. The last time I had Nick on was 5 months ago. I think he was like number 5 or number 6. But this time we're going to be answering questions together, and that way you can kind of see our dynamics, see our different opinions, and how we how we come to some of our decisions. It'll be fun, but it'll probably only be a shorter half-hour episode. Who's Nick? Nick's the other half of the reptile word. While we wait for Ron, big shout out to Lane, LRP Reptiles. Why can I never get pointing right? Dude has some crazy stuff. Younger kid. He's got some cool stuff growing up. He works for Billy right now, so he's getting pointed in all the right directions. Yeah, I knew you knew who Nick was. But that said, while we wait for Ron, if anybody has any questions, basically anything, we can just chit chat. We just hit some really cool shit. Yeah, some asphalt pieds, their first asphalt pieds ever. I don't know what else to talk about. I don't know if Ron is able to be heard. Maybe I could put him on here without the video. I'm not too sure. Yeah, we're at a little bit of dead air here, unfortunately, guys. So please help me out. Ask some questions or something. Oh, you want to see my psycho cat? Come here. Oh, Jesus. Oh. This is Peach. She's ridiculous. Albino 8-ball, all white with red eyes. Mostly, yes, actually. Our friends over at Mordex Ball Pythons hatched, I think, 3 or 4 about a month ago. And they're all white, but just like how 8-balls sometimes get the black or darker brown spotting throughout their pattern, these animals all have yellow albino like freckles, and it's really, really cool. What's on the drink menu for tonight? Oh, Benevolent Reptiles. Big shout out to Benevolent Reptiles. They actually made us a pretty cool like neon looking version of our logo that we're going to use for a couple things moving forward. Yeah, and didn't even ask for it. He just sent it over because he's a awesome dude. So right now I have these because I don't care what you think. They're delicious. Just a raspberry vodka soda. They're fantastic. Kind of like Superfire. Yes and no. Superfires seem to clump pattern all together, kind of like a pied would on a saddle. These ones literally just have sort of random color freckles all down them. One of them is really cool. It actually has like a diamond pattern of freckles. So how many clutches are you expecting this season? So right now we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're 10 deep right now, and then I know I have 4 more coming here, and then everything at Nick's place is really late other than the clutch we just cut. So I want to say basically he has like 20 females that could lay later this year. So I actually have no idea. Our year is very, very weird. I expected to have most of them out by now, and no, it's not even half. So if I had to guess based on what we're at now, 20, 25. But weirdly enough, all this stuff we're really, really excited for has laid for us already. So it's not the same. I don't know why people always joke on sugary drinks. Why would I drink something gross? Like that sake the other night, it was terrible. Is that Paul? I don't know what babies you're talking about, so you'll have to send them to me, buddy. Keep the questions coming. We actually lost Ron. I don't know what's going on, so I'm hoping he joins back soon. The Bud seltzers and then also the Coors Light seltzers are actually surprisingly good. Oh, we might have Ron. I'm not sure yet. It's still loading. Those are good. There's also the Rocket mics that came out. Those things are good too. No, Ron is actually back. I think he's just trying to get his webcam working. I sent him a message on Instagram. Oh, perfect. There we go. Oh, can I not hear you? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Gosh, you know what it is that I was actually going through Firefox, and it looks like Firefox was not letting my camera open. And I figured, you know what, I'd just go through Google, and I got it through. So I'm sorry it took me a while to figure this out.
No worries, man. You made me think on my feet a little bit. It was all good. Thanks for coming, man. We all really appreciate it.
No, thank you very much for inviting me. I mean, like you have no idea, the honor for actually, stepping in for this. I really do appreciate the invite.
No, man. You know what? It worked out because like I always plan on having you on, but it's really weird because I have this idea that like there's a bunch of people I want to have on, but I want to wait to have certain people on for when I have more subscribers to help. You know what I mean? To also support the people that are coming on. I don't want it to all just be views for my channel, if that makes sense. But I just happened to have an opening this week, and somebody was like, why not Ron? And I was sitting there and I was like, why not Ron? So, yeah, no, dude, thank you. You saved my ass. And obviously, like, I wanted to have you on anyway, so this worked out great.
Great. I just want to give a shout out to Catherine. I think my Puerto Rican name for her is Catherine. That's what she says a lot of times when I actually mispronunciate it, but I guess it just stuck with Catherine.
That's funny. No, Kathleen is Kathleen.
There you go.
She's helped me out a lot. She's always willing to step up if I'm ever stuck. Even like today, she reminded me that I had to upload our new intro for this channel, and I was stuck. I was stuck at work, and I was nowhere near a computer. And she was like, "Well, I'll just upload it." What the fuck? Oh my god! I thought I just closed the entire browser down and shut down my show. Oh my god! My heart just dropped for a second. Woo! But no, she was just like, "I'll do it for you," and I was like, "All right, thank you." So yeah, we finally got the new intro, the extended intro with the full, well, not full, but the extended music at the end there, which is what I was hoping for. But yeah, no, you know what? We had a little bit of technological difficulties, but we're there now. So welcome, Ron. Thank you again.
Again, like I said, I mean, like I have to take half of the blame because I know with StreamYard, it specifically says that it's via Google. But my main to go to when I actually do use this is Firefox, or if not, Microsoft. But I always forget because the few times that I actually get the chance to do a Zoom or a StreamYard, it's specifically to Chrome.
And that's totally fair because I was pretty much only a Firefox guy for the longest time. But it just seems like Google's less restrictive for certain things. Oh, sorry. People are messaging me even though they know I'm live. Thanks, Tyler.
Oh, wait a second. Let me go in the comment section because you said, oh my God. I mean, like I'm so left back with all this. I haven't even put into the comment section, so I can't even see And now I'm actually seeing the comments in there. So what's up, everyone? How you doing? Shout out for everyone that's stopping in. Thank you very much. Millicene, oh my God, I don't know. I don't understand how come she calls me the professor. That title specifically goes to Ron from Royal Balls. He's one of the four horsemen. And then I think he deserves
it
that
probably
title.
has to do with your logo.
Well, you know what it is with the flask. I don't know if anyone is actually a Breaking Bad fan. You know, it's basically it's all linked into the show. So I'm like I'm a fanboy on that, and I base my logo basically off of it.
Yeah, no, it's pretty awesome. I do like it. Anyway, Ron, as per usual, if we get any questions in the chat, we're gonna throw them up. But I have my normal questions for you to start us off, guys. Any questions at all for Ron? You know where to put them. We'll get to as many of them as we can. I don't think we've completely missed one yet, but if anybody sees one get missed, obviously just call us out for it. Starting off with a nice and easy one. What kind of projects are you working on?
Wow, a nice and easy one. That's actually hard. I got to tell you that basically I'm really left back with the recessive projects, and I'm trying to do catch up with that. And when I started actually working with ball pythons, at that beginning time, the only concept or idea of was working basically stacking on codoms and dominant genes. And recessives was a project that I basically wasn't even in my radar because I saw basically how long it started actually to work out. It wasn't until after, I would say, probably 6 years that I started to dabble with recessives. So now I'm at the point that I'm not making single gene combo recessive. I'm basically stacking up recessives with other recessives. So in the words of other breeders, it might just look like a regular normal. But what I'm actually doing is I'm working double and triple and quad heads before I actually work with a single recessive gene. So it's a lot of a lot of catch up that I'm actually trying to do just to follow the trend of where the hobby is actually working. And I gotta say, the single most thing that I actually produced as far as double was a dreamsicle yellow belly, and I got that actually last season. So this season I just hatched out a double head, or actually a possible triple head, pastel chocolate, 100% Desert Ghost clown, 50% het hypo. But since I'm staying with a whole cutch, that could be a possible out of one of them at least, or two of them. I'm hoping that it might be a triple. So that's besides what I already produced last season. I have triple heads growing up here, and I'm also working towards quad heads this season.
It's funny that you say you're playing catch up, but you're making stuff that there are a good large portion of this hobby that would be thrilled to have a triple head of any three recessives. You know what I mean? Like, so it's funny because it's kind of how we view ourselves versus how others sort of see what we're doing. Because it happens to me all the time. Because I'm always like, well, I only have these double hets growing up, and people are like, dude, they're fucking 5 gene double hets plus het something else. Like, I'm like, like it's all the perception that we have of ourselves. So for you to say you have like double het, pos hets, and triple hets and quadruple hets, like that's incredible. Even if it's the 4 most common recessives, having a quadruple head is insane. Like, yeah. it's actually a big accomplishment to have that growing up in your rack. Justin showed it, I think it was 2 years ago, how fucking useful quadruple recessives are. Because you put a quad het to a quad het, and I think it's like 1 in 2 you get or 1 in 4 you get a double recessive. You just can't choose which one it is. It's crazy.
And it's funny because I was actually talking with Earl last night from Lost Star Reptiles, because he's also basically dabbling with the quads and the triples. And he's very adamant when he actually works through his cleaning, and he has someone, which is his stepson, that helps him actually with his cleaning, the same way I have my son that actually helps me with my cleanings. And we were just joking about it, because think about it. when you're working that far deep with double or triple or quad head recessives, it's usually going to be a normal or it's going to be a pastel. It's not going to be something additional on top of that,
Mm-hmm.
because the difficulty to actually getting that far. When you have someone else cleaning your racks, and this is something I actually had an argument with my son, and I know he's on here, and I love you, Papu.
I know where you're going to. I want to let you finish, but I know where you're going here.
Yeah, one time he was cleaning my racks. I gave him a chore to work with my hatchling racks, and I noticed that one of the tubs was not at the place that I specifically put it. And this was a triple head, but it was a different triple head from the other triple heads that I had, but they're normals. So I'm like, I freaked out. I was like, you killed me. You just set me back 6 years,
Oh my
just
God.
by actually mixing that tub and putting it in the wrong place. But I caught it on time, and my son corrected me, and I got over my
Mm-hmm.
anxiety at that time. But that's like the dangerous parts when you actually work in those territories, because you're the only one that you really have to trust it, because even if you have someone helping you out and they're doing the best to just clean it, a snake is a snake just to them. And it's really hard for them to catch the eye that you already established on your own snakes. So
Oh,
that's the
100%.
scariest
No,
part that I
nobody,
have.
it doesn't matter how, if you have somebody working with you on your collection, they'll never know. It doesn't matter how much time they're putting in with you, they'll never know your collection like you do. I can
Yes.
tell you where every one of my snakes are in between my place and Nick's place. Which bin, which rack, doesn't matter, right? I can tell you what they are, where they came from, fucking what they're eating, how often they're eating. Like, I can tell you all that. If I had somebody come in and even work in here full time, which I'm nowhere near that level, I would say in 6 months they still wouldn't know.
Yes.
So it's hard. You have to be able to put your trust in someone else, and I'm sure it's easier when it's family.
Actually, it's even harder when it's family, because you expect more out of them,
That's
and then
fair.
you have
That's
you
fair.
have you have the liberty of actually screaming a little bit more longer and harder to them than someone that's just doing a favor and just learning, basically, whatever they can, because that's how most of us start. Most
Mhm.
of us, when we start basically apprenticing from someone by cleaning steak turds.
That's
We're
it. We
scraping.
all got to start cleaning shit. That's
Yes.
where we are.
And when you get to that point, but then you have that specific projects that just basically looks no different than the other 10 that he cleaned. That's when it starts to get a little bit worrisome, because it's not a visual until you actually make it. So it doesn't matter how many heads I have it, if by one slip up, even by someone that's helping me out and actually just puts it in the wrong spot, that basically sets my whole project back by 6 years, because it's going to take me time to prove it out, because heads to heads doesn't necessarily guarantee a visual on the first pairings.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's funny because I'm not a person that would ever just undervalue like a straight head or a straight double head. I am very aware of the value behind it, and I'm very aware of what it can produce. But it's the fear. It's the fear of even myself one day. Maybe I fall down and I hit my head and I stop having such a good memory. I don't know. But the fact that everything I have one double head normal left in my collection. Everything else is visually different from everything else. Like if you were to get somebody to come into my collection right now with a good enough eye, obviously you wouldn't be able to pick hets out, but you'd know what everything was visually, and then you'd be able to find the tag that matches that animal, right? Everything. Before though, we had like 4, 5, 6 double het dreams growing up, and like double het this and double het that, and it like I got to the point where I was like, man, all I have to do is put one thing back in the wrong spot, and I'm fucked.
And going back to the comments that I actually read, someone put that basically, if you look behind me, all my tubs are labeled. It's not like they're not labeled, but the point is, it's I do have a changing table. My son will basically, or even myself, I mean, like we'll take the snake out the tub. We'll put it on the table while we're basically disinfecting, cleaning, and everything, and moving on to each snake. And then for one chance or another, because you're in a rush, you maybe have 2 snakes on the table, because you just basically you pull out 2 tubs at the same time, and they're both soiled. So then you find your point that you're actually putting two snakes on the table, and you're looking at it, and it's like, wait a second, which one was
Mm-hmm.
the left and which one was the right? You know, and that was a situation that I caught myself in. And I mean, like, you could label it. It could say exactly what it is, but unless you specifically, the person that hatched it out, that sees it every day, that you're just admiring it because you're transporting yourself 4 years down when you actually get that visual, that you're admiring that head that you made. you
Mm-hmm.
do you do know that patterns, you do know the alien heads, you know basically the keyholes or the washed out areas of the ringers, you can recognize it. But
Yeah.
explaining that to someone else, that's where it's hard to to actually do.
So it's funny because I just said that I don't have any like two that look separate or two that can be mixed up, but I was actually lying. We have a 1.2 Motley double het VPI xanthic clowns growing up,
Okay.
and I know what Motley looks like. Nick knows what Motley looks like, but if somebody that wasn't familiar with the gene came in here to clean my collection, they'd think it was a fucking normal. Easy. And like, luckily, they're all just Motley double hets. So if they got mixed up, it wouldn't matter. It would just mean I'd have to put them back in their own bins, right? Because they're all the same thing. But all it takes is for us to hit one more Motley something het and it slip into the rack too. And it fucked me because they get mixed up. Because Motley isn't super visual, especially not to an untrained eye. Same with like Yellow Belly or Ashfall.
Oh gosh,
It's
tell me
not
about it.
untrained eyes can't catch that. They can't see it. So it would be very easy for somebody to take say a Yellow Belly double het and mix it up with a normal double hat or a Motley double hat or something else that's incredibly subtle. And honestly, if somebody did that in my collection, I don't know if I would catch it right away. Like if somebody switched a Motley double hat with a Yellow Belly double hat, maybe I would catch it one day and be like, oh, this doesn't look right. But chances are I probably wouldn't with the amount of snakes I have. It wouldn't be until I bred that animal and went, wait, why the fuck am I getting yellow bellies out of this? And then looking at the animal and realizing what I have and what happened.
And that's what I'm talking about. It's the years that transpires between that time when you actually, you're waiting for that clutch, and then you're seeing the results that you're getting is not the ones that you were supposed to. Then you go back, it's like, wait a second, I changed the snake to the wrong tub. Oh my God. And then you have to wait a follow-up season just to make sure that it was the right one. That's the dangerous part, actually. I actually found, when you're getting into that, because like I said, because I failed that I was left behind purposely with the recessive, that I wanted to actually started catching up, but I wanted to catch up in a different path instead of actually making like triple codom clowns or triple codom pied or something like that.
Yep.
I figured the best way to do it is make it more interesting, is add on another recessive. And that's all I've been doing for the past 5 years. Is I have a recessive, I just add another recessive onto that, then I add a third recessive onto that. And I mean, like if I was able to produce a visual recessive, the first visual recessive I actually produced was a year ago, which was a lavender, and the year before that was a leopard clown. Those are the only two visuals of the 9 years that I've been actually working of any recessive that I've actually produced, besides a dreamsicle that I made last season.
Wow. So yeah, you beat me to dreamsicles because I don't know if you've heard this story before, but we bought into the dreamsicle project 4 years ago. We bought 2 breeder female double het dreams, a breeder male dreamsicle, and then a lav hepide, like 1,100 gram female, and a black basta lav hepide, like 900 gram female. This was 4 years ago. I got my first clutch out of any one of them in the incubator right now.
Oh, wow. As a matter of fact, there is a breeder up in Canada that I'm very that I talk with him basically almost every day. We've been friends for like the past, I think, 6 years. And within those years, his mission was always trying to produce a grail, which is the lavender clown. and he
Who?
just recently, his name is Fred. I don't know his last name, but he's Fred. He's not too far away from the Toronto area. But he actually just produced, he put it up on Facebook, a
Oh,
spider
Celtic?
grail. I don't know his last name. I
I
really
think
don't.
I
I
know who
just
you're
know by
talking
his
about. I
first
think I
name.
saw that snake. Okay, I know. Okay, sorry. I was just trying to. I know most people, so I was just trying to place it.
Yeah, I just know the first name basically, and that's all we go off of on Facebook. But
Mhm.
basically, since we were both, so invested with the dreamsicle, I mean, like that's how our friendship started. And part of the dreamsicle was also working with the Grail.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't want to buy it; I wanted to make it. So that's one of the triple hits that I have actually, which is the lavender clown pied. And now that my dreamsicle actually produced the yellow belly, um I there's a possibility that it's also floating yellow belly in there, and I'm
That's
trying
sick.
to actually prove it out with my ivory that I have a clutch in the incubator right now. So if I hit on ivories, then obviously I know for fact that that dreamsicle is a yellow belly. So that's like a
That's
hidden bonus.
that's so sick. And you know what the thing is too? I've seen a few dream skull, the yellow belly dream skulls that aren't super crazy visually, but most of them, like Billy has a breeder female yellow belly dream skull, and the color that that thing held on to, even all the way up to breeding size female, like it's unlike anything else lavender can do. It's so cool. I love it. So we're working with the same. I have two ivory het pied posset labs that I held back from last year, and then I have two fire yellow belly het pied posset lab females that we held back. So it's a big thing on our end too. So fuck man, if you have a yellow belly dream male, that's
Yeah,
killer. That's so good.
and the cool thing is this is like the hidden surprises that you always get when you pick up a snake from a well-known breeder. That dreamsicle, believe it or not, I've been literally hounding Justin since 2013. Before Justin, I reached out to Ralph Davis,
Yep.
and Ralph basically told me, "Oh, it's $18,000," and I was like, "Wow, okay, let's shop around." And basically, I got in contact with Justin, and at that time, it was still a little bit more higher than what I can actually,
Yep.
afford at that time. But every season, I would always basically pester Justin, following up, let me get the heads, what do you have? And one of the females that I bought from him was a lavender female het pied, and it took me 3 years to grow her up. It took me 3 years actually to grow up, and I was supposed to buy a visual pied het lavender, and when I put a deposit on it, that snake was already sold, so I missed out on that one. And I said, well, you know what? I'll wait for the first dreamsicle you're going to produce. And that dreamsicle that Justin sold me, he just cut it out the egg, and it was a yellow belly clutch. So it didn't actually visually at that time, but then again, I just bought it out the egg.
Yeah.
It took like 3 meals, and then he sent it to me. So
When
I
we're
never
done
thought
here,
about
I
it.
need you to send me a picture of that animal because I'm now very curious. Because I feel like I'm pretty good at seeing yellow belly and dream. But dude, if you have a yellow belly dream skull, like I feel like Dream Skull's here, and I'm in the project, so don't think I'm shitting on the project. I love Dream Skull, I love Lav, I love Pied. I think Dream Skull's here. I think Yellow Belly Dream Skull's fucking like way the fuck
Well,
up here.
you
So
know what? Honestly, I personally think that beyond Yellow Belly, Enchi is like the master that has to be onto the Dreamsicle
absolutely, like
specifically.
if you try to go above that, it kind of starts bringing it back down. Like Yellow Belly Entry Dream is like ideal for that project. Blackhead though, the Blackhead dreams that were just made, those things are something
Yeah,
else.
I pimped out I pimped out my dreamsicle this season. So basically, I have a lot of different varieties that's basically in the incubator, and some females that are to lay. I'm just making more double heads, but since I do have I'm growing up the females that I produced last season, plus the original mom. I'll know basically I'm gonna have a big variety because there's another gene that I want to actually add on to pins to Dreamsicle is obviously pinstripe.
Mhm.
You know, I want to bring down the pattern just as much as Enchi can also. And if I look out basically with the yellow belly, and obviously I'm also working in blackhead in the gene also. It's just basically playing with everything else. Besides, I produced an orange dream yellow belly pied head lavender.
Oh, shut
So
up.
I got that one growing up there also. And you know what? To tell
That's
you the truth,
amazing.
the funny thing is that dreamsicle yellow belly, I DM'd Justin and I DM'd Billy, and they
Mhm.
both personally confirmed that's a yellow belly dream.
Oh,
I mean, it's perfect example of a yellow belly dream. And that's when I was like, oh, wait a second. When I got Billy on board and when I got Justin, I was like, forget it. I threw my hands up. I said, you know what? I'll send you the picture of that male.
I have a girl, but she's like deep in shed, so it wouldn't show. But I have a girl yellow belly dream that's like 1,200 grams right now. So I was gonna show her off, but she's like gray. So
But I gotta tell you, besides the dream, because I know that's been like one of my oh yeah, that as a matter of fact, I'm just looking at the comments about that one egg dream. That dreamsicle actually came from a single egg because she laid 6 slugs and only
oh,
one
is that
fertile
what she
egg.
was talking about?
Yes, I just saw the comments there. But yes, that
Oh,
was
okay.
from one single egg that I actually hit on that.
Kayla says that I just lost my fangirl. I don't want Kathleen as my fangirl. Ron can have her. Okay, so that said, we've talked about a whole lot of genetics since this question was posted. So what are the main recessives you're working with? Say top 3, and what are the main dominant co-dominant genes you're working with? Same top 3.
Okay. The mains that I'm actually working this season, and it's going to go back to double heads and possible triple heads. Puzzle. That's what I'm basically this season. I'm putting my pastel chocolate desert ghost head hypo to my pastel puzzle. So from there, basically, it's again going back to making more double possible triple heads.
Nice.
I already have a genetic stripe het red exanic that I bred to my dreamsicle yellow belly. So that's another eggs in the incubator right there. So right there's another triple that I'm actually already have on the ground in the incubator. Hypo clowns. That's another thing that I'm
Nice.
working
I'm
with.
into
Leopard hypo
hypoclone too.
clown.
Very nice. I love
Yeah,
that project. It's so good.
hypo is such an
Oh,
underrated gene that now it's getting tractions, and I
did you
think what's putting onto it is the potential that darker genes are working within hypo, and now people are
did you
getting on
see
board with
Billy's
that.
video today?
Oh yes, yes.
Did you see that animal we split on talking about hypo? Oh my god. We waited 14 months for that animal. We bought it as a proven breeder male and waited 14 months to get that animal in. Ultramel hypopie breeder male.
Oh gosh.
Oh, he's finally here. Like, oh, this day is the best.
You
I'm
see,
very
and
happy.
and let me tell you something. Honestly, by my personal experience and just going back to my first clutch that I actually cut, um, I'm new into chocolate gene. That's another gene that I have to say that I'm excited about, which is I would say it's a codom gene. Besides another codom that I'm working, actually, yeah, it's a codom. The gravel. That's another gene. I tried at one point to get asphalt before I got my hands on the gravel, but I couldn't find any.
Okay.
So I got the super gravel, pastel super gravel. So basically, I'm working that path specifically. And the other code dom that I'm excited to basically working with, believe it or not, is bamboo.
You know what's funny? I shit on bamboo for so long. And I think I did it because like I have a lot of lesser in my collection. I have a lot of bell in my collection, and it's very much limited what I can do. And I think it gave me a very negative outlook on the entire bell complex. And it was in a bad headspace because of that. And somebody gave me some advice when I asked about bamboo. And they were like, do you just want a cooler looking lesser? And I was like, no, I don't. Like, why the fuck would I want that? So I wrote it off. And I was so stupid to do so. Um, so we talk about this basically every week, but we have our own Reptile Ward Discord, and we have a bunch of really awesome people in there. And one of those people is Nicole Lyons, Canadian Regis.
Mm.
And I like ragging on her for making bamboo stuff, but she keeps posting it. And it's just winning me over more and more every time I see an animal because they're so cool looking. Like,
Did you ever get the chance to see and they're up in Canada. I think it's KNC or KNB Reptiles, KNB Reptiles. I hope I'm not
is
massacring
it
their name.
KB?
KB, KNB.
Are you talking about Carrion Barrows?
Yeah.
I know Carrion Barrows. I'm well aware of who they are. There are some good people, that's for sure.
Have you seen their bamboo genetic stripe?
I have not. I have actually not had a chance to go see their collection because we were planning on doing a YouTube video for them. I was going to go see their collection, and then they were going to come see my collection. We were going to do a video on their channel. This is before COVID, so I didn't even have a YouTube channel. And then fucking COVID happened. So so I haven't seen it really any other stuff other than anything they bought from expos that I've been at. So not many.
Yeah, that one actually, they actually inquired that snake about 2 seasons ago. I remember when they uploaded it on YouTube. As a matter of fact, it was after a Tinley show that I actually went to before
all 2019.
No, 2019. As a matter of fact, that's when they actually
we were at the same show.
Yeah, I was at that Tinley in October. As a matter of fact.
Yes, yeah, I was there. I was super drunk the entire time. It was great. It was such a good show, though. It was so fun.
You know, as a matter of fact, in that show, I got the chance to actually interview Garrick DeMeyer. And wow. Garrick DeMeyer's table, he has the pinnacle of bamboos. He has the variety of bamboos that basically, and this is the funny thing. When I approached him to do a interview for my YouTube channel, he stopped me automatically. Before I got the chance to ask him, can I interview? He was like, wait a second. I saw a snake that you put up on Facebook, and I swore that you screen grabbed it from me and posted as your own.
That's really funny.
And I was like, excuse me? And it was a bamboo orange dream Enchi spider. And I first of all, I took it as the biggest compliment as I can take, specifically coming from him. And then I joked around. I was like, look at these beefy fingers, compared to yours. And he was like, yeah, I knew it was yours. But the thing is that he stopped me even before I actually got as far as making a conversation to do a YouTube video, that he noticed one of my pairings that I actually just posted on Facebook. So, I mean, like, and obviously we've been going back and forth for a few years, because he's the person that actually helped me guide me which path to take bamboo. Now, Shane Kelly basically, he did a pairing that he showed me that it was a pairing that I was hoping to do this season, but I didn't get my male up to weight, and he actually has eggs in the incubator, and that's basically a red striped clown, combo that he put into his bamboo. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the first thing I was actually hoping
was that
to work
his
with.
Crazy ass clown?
I don't know specifically, and I don't want to know. And I know in the last video, someone let the cat out the bag, but
was it the one from Miguel, Shane? You don't have to say what it is. He's in the comments. I know you have a clown that's absolutely ridiculous. And if so, me and you have to talk after this live is
yeah, I know. I know which I know which clown that he's talking about, but the specific one, it was a red striped clown. I forgot what was the third gene in it.
That's
but
fair.
He
that's
basically
fair. Okay.
He has eggs in the incubator, and
that's
but still, I mean, like, Shane's a lot more closer to me than he was before. So if anything, I know where to pick up, ahead.
Yeah, it's funny too, because red stripe's another one of those genes that I kind of discounted at first. I was like, okay, like, people are blowing it up, whatever. Man, do I regret not grabbing it when I could, because it's red stripe and chocolate. Chocolate I fucking slept on. And I actually wanted to get into it, and I just didn't have the cash. And I should have pushed. I should have found the money, because both of those genes are just blowing up, man. They're just they're exploding.
If you think about it, there is a lot of genes that's basically not looked on, because they're not actually considered as an important gene,
mm-hmm.
until we see it mixed in with another type of recessive.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily have to be clown. As a matter of fact, we've seen basically how for example yellow belly basically brightens out a lot of recessives, and now even more enchies. And
Mm-hmm.
we're not even talking about line breeding, because a lot of people basically when they breed their pairings, they produce what they wanted to produce, but very few of them actually line breed them, because there is the potential of bettering that single gene down the line.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, I had the chance to talk with David Suarez from David Suarez Reptiles in Indonesia, and he's a big believer of line breeding, and he has actually produced an Enchi Grail, and because he line bred them down the season so many times, they're polka dots.
Crazy.
They're no longer banded. They're literally polka dots. And that's basically what the gene actually keeps putting out as you continue line breeding it down the line.
And you know what? I think the ball python hobby in general, and I've said this many times, and I don't know if I've said it on this channel, but I think the ball python hobby in general is really missing the boat on line breeding genetics versus just combining as many genes as possible, or the proper combination of genes. I genuinely believe that there is a very niche market, and unfortunately, I just don't have the time or the space right now to do so. But I think there would be a very niche but very profitable market for somebody that could find the best version of yellow belly, somebody that could find the best version of Enchi, or breed for that. You know what I mean? Like to have an animal that throws super high banded Enchis or super high flaming yellow bellies that you can't mistake for anything. I think there would be a huge market for that. But I
think about it.
Don't think anybody's willing to take the time and make the effort, because it doesn't seem like it's worth it.
Well, if you look back and you think about it, how do you think Ozzy hit on the high expression orange dream? That high expression orange dream didn't come from a separate shipment of orange dreams that he had. I mean, like Ozzy stuck with orange dream, from the very beginning. And he's a perfect example of someone that actually line bred the orange dream constantly, to the point that he brought out the better version of the orange dream, which basically now it's basically stands on its own leg as a high intensity orange dream.
Well, what's crazy about what Ozzy did is he actually sort of indirectly created his own line. Like OD was already his line because Ozzy was the one that made OD. But because he worked it so hard and he believed in it so much, he literally accidentally created his own freak mutation of the gene that's even better than the original, which is unheard of. Like, could you imagine how many eggs that would take the normal person to say you make an Enchi, just a straight Enchi that looks like a super Enchi every time? It would take you fucking forever. You might hit the odd one that looks a little super Enchi. The color might be there. The pattern might be there a bit. But to hit an animal that throws that all the time, it's an insane idea. So, like, the work that Ozzy actually put in, I think people underestimate constantly. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous.
And if you think about it, because basically it goes back to actually holding back whatever you're working at a certain time to actually see what you get out and be surprised with the results. And the perfect example is Billy with the monsoon. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, he's been sitting with those snakes for like over 10 years, I believe he said. And
2009. So yeah, 12 years.
And now is when he basically he's been producing monsoons. So the thing is, if he actually gave away or sold away those crystals that he was making and everything, instead of holding them all back, because that's what the goal was making more crystals. But in his view at that time, the market changed and he didn't want to push that market so much.
Yep.
Until he jumped back on it, and by hold, he pushed out the monsoon.
Well, and the only reason he jumped back on it was because somebody else just happened to catch similarities between his line of special, which everyone has said for a long time, including myself. I told him 1,000 times there was something in his special. I didn't know what it was. But somebody caught similarities in his specials to Dave Green's Het Monsoons. And that person is Brad Diaz at Prodigious Pythons. Sorry. And from there, Billy just was like, holy shit, it's in everything.
But so, he held them all back.
He held a lot of shit back. It's pretty crazy. And actually, we just cut a clutch this past week, and I went to see them. They're at Nick's place. And our male is an Inchy Asphalt Het Pied that's also possible Het Monsoon. And he went to a pied. And we had what I believe is an Inchy Asphalt Pied and 2 Asphalt Pieds. But one of the Asphalt Pieds has what I believe to be monsoon markers. Het Monsoon markers. which is nuts. So that means I might have an Asphalt Pied Het Monsoon.
But do you have the counterpart to actually to breed it back to see if you can actually hit on it?
I mean, I have the dad, and if the baby's Het Monsoon, that means the dad is. So he's Inchy Asphalt Het Pied Het Monsoon to an Inchy Asphalt Pied or Asphalt Pied Het Monsoon.
Okay, so you didn't get rid of it. Great.
Oh,
great.
no.
And you have the originator.
That male has been our biggest asshole of a snake. He will get up to size to breed, lock once, and then like go off food for like 8 months.
Wow.
It's the worst.
Wow.
The reason I highlighted this comment, Melusine Exotics, she says, the best version of yellow belly is in my house. So I have a female. It's a yellow belly Het Pied, and it throws the weirdest shit. And I don't usually show stuff off on these Friday Night Lives. Sometimes I do. Like these things, you can tell are yellow belly without, it's not picking up at all. Like it's just nuts. Like the entire pattern distorts.
Right.
And she has this girl's brother, actually. I believe Scarlett named it Jack. But this is a yellow belly Het Pied Posset Lab, and then she has a male version of this girl. And so I have a yellow belly Het Pied female, and I don't know why, but every yellow belly she throws is the highest expression yellow belly I've ever seen. So unfortunately, she didn't go for us this year, but I'm hoping next year I can get her to go, especially if the Inchy Asphalt Pied that's in one of our eggs is up to size.
Yeah, that's another project that I want to work, because like I said, I don't have asphalt at this time, but because I have the counterpart, which would be the gravel.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to see that in Dreamsicle. I mean, like that's another path that I'm working with, and that's actually going the following season, because I already have dibs with the only lavender female that I have. But the following season, I expect to basically breed the pastel super gravel to her, because since if it does actually prove out to be the ivory, I'll already have the female grown up by the time the gravel actually produces. So my idea and everything is basically seeing if I can make a highway version of a Dreamsicle, but obviously with something else in there, which basically would be either Inchy or Orange Dream.
Honestly, if you get Inchy in that, I think that might be one of the nicest Dreamsicles ever made.
Yeah, Inchy or Pinstripe, because I'm working with both, because Pinstripe does the exact same thing that Inchy does.
See, here's the thing, though. I feel like Inchy throws more inside the saddles.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
like more darkness inside the saddles, whereas Pinstripe throws more pattern overall, and it obviously gives pattern. There's less inside those saddles. So when you switch it over to a lavender version, I honestly think your Inchy version is going to look outrageous. Just
by far. Nuts. By far. But the good thing about this is just having the variety of basically working, different avenues. But like I said, I can't give up on that. But the other project, basically, I need to actually put lavender in something else. I'm working champagne. That's another one that I wanted to work with.
I'm sorry, Ron.
Champagne.
It's just funny that Shane said this, because Nick and I have joked about this a couple times, that yellow belly I just showed and the one that throws the really high yellow bellies. Nick and I have joked constantly, Nick's my business partner, about branding those yellow bellies as Reptile Ward yellow bellies and trying to charge more just to fuck with people. Obviously, we're not going to, but it's just, I'm sorry, it made me laugh. Anyway, sorry, man.
Yeah.
Continue. Jesus.
No, Shane just keeps throwing it in there and stuff. Well, let me. I actually noticed in the comment field. I just want to give a shout out to the originator, who actually started me in this ball python nonsense, and that's Royal Genetic Reptiles. I have to say, by far, he's Kenny Aponte. He by far is like the most influential person that I've actually had the pleasure to introduce me within this hobby. And to the point that basically, you know, we always have like these intense conversations whenever we get together. As a matter of fact, I'm stopping by his house tomorrow morning to pick up some rodent food. But I just want to give a huge shout out. This guy, he's killing it specifically. I mean, like with what he's working with, surpasses. But then again,
is that his Instagram too? Can we give him a shout out right now?
Yes, that's also his Instagram.
Guys, go follow Royal Genetic Reptiles.
This guy literally, I mean, like, I'd have to say, if anything, I'm probably like the student in the back of the class compared to him, you know, and what he's working and basically what he actually done locally here on the island. I got to give props to where props is. And if it wasn't because of him, I wouldn't even have the collection I have right now.
So for people that don't know, where are you located?
Okay, I am located in the Caribbean island of Puerto Rico. So basically, we're like a 2-hour plane ride if you're in Florida. If you're in Canada, it's a 6-hour plane ride.
It depends. It could be like 3.5 to 6 hours, depending on the wind.
Oh yeah. Basically, I mean, like if you go way out east and you know make the bang off the triangles to actually get up here, it's quicker. Basically,
I'm about as south as you can get in Canada. Like, there's maybe like an hour drive you can go more south, but I'm as south as possible, basically. So
when you're saying you're south, you're more closer to the border to like say the Buffalo area or the New York area.
Oh yeah, I'm 25 to 35 minutes from the Buffalo border.
Oh gosh, cool.
I'm real close. Yeah, way closer than even Billy.
Believe it or not, I've always had a childhood dream, and I've told it to my children that I wanted to rent an RV and drive over to Canada.
Honestly, man, especially if you go up through New York and you can go through Niagara Falls. Like,
yes.
If you end up doing that, man, like I'm moving next week, but like if you guys end up doing that, like, well, I'll find you guys a spot to park your RV. Like, it's close as fuck, and you know we can hang out.
Yeah, I want to do the whole Chevy Chase thing. You know, I literally want to go have the whole experience of like that. I that's like something in my bucket list that I really, really need to do. That's and obviously, I want to hit up a CRBE. You know, I am so. I mean, like after COVID, as a matter of fact, me and Shane, we were talking about this because before the last cancellation of Tinley, me and Shane, we actually worked out that we were going to share our hotel and include Richard and Rob from Malaysia and the UK, and we were all going to attend the Tinley event. Then it got canceled.
Dude, we were going too. We were literally packed and in my truck when I found out that it got canceled. Like so I'm about 35 minutes from the border to Buffalo, but I'm like 2.5 hours from the border to Detroit, right?
Okay.
But the border to Detroit gets me closer to Chicago. So I think I was about an hour away from crossing the border when we found out that it was canceled.
So you were so you actually didn't make it all the way up to Chicago then?
I didn't even cross the border because I was scared at that point. When I found out it was canceled, I was scared that the borders would get closed down. I wouldn't be able to come back.
Yeah.
And if I couldn't come back, I would lose my job. So I didn't risk it, unfortunately.
Yeah. So basically, that's something else that I basically want to do is I want to actually hit a CRBE. That's like a definite. And knowing that it's from what Billy explained to me, it's not too far from the Toronto airport, and his facility is also that quick.
Not that far, dude. You could walk to the CRB from the Toronto airport. It is so fucking close. It's like a 40-minute walk or a like 5-minute cab ride. It's so close. You can see the airfield from the front doors of the CRB facility.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's crazy close. So basically any hotel within walking or like within distance, like any of the airport hotels, it's you're there. It's crazy.
So then basically I'm just holding on hold for next year for basically the borders to open up and we'll see something in, in that area so I can actually
Man,
take advantage.
We haven't seen an expo since February 2020.
Ah.
It's been so bad.
Oh yeah, and the lobster, MMM lobster, and moose meat. Is that I saw the lobster because that's something that I actually mentioned because I saw this this YouTuber that did an insane lobster fest in Toronto, and I asked Billy about that. He wasn't too sure about it, but just lead me to Toronto. I'll find my way there.
So here's the thing: if you go real East Coast, and we're talking about where this weirdo lives, Kathleen. I'm pretty sure lobster is the main meat they eat because they're on the coast, right? So they're bringing in lobster like it's going out of style. If you come to where we are, because I'm about 45 minutes from Toronto Airport, definitely not so abundant. I wish it was. I love lobster. It is not like that here, unfortunately. And I'd say about 95% of Canadians have never even actually tried moose meat before.
That's something else I want to try. Moose meat and ketchup chips. I mean, like, I want to go all in.
Dude, I'll send you some fucking ketchup chips.
Oh, I definitely want it. And this is the funny thing.
I've sent Miguel like 3 shipments of ketchup chips already.
Well, I definitely want to hit up on the ketchup chips. And this is something that my friend Fred that I was talking about, I really don't know his last name and I'm butchering him. But he tells me basically the Canadian beer actually makes the US beers or the Heineken beers kind of look like Capri Sun. I mean, like one beer is like the equivalent of like a 6-pack, stateside. So that's something else that I want to try.
Now, the only thing I'm going to mention there is ever since craft beer kind of came into the picture, which it's been in both Canada and the US coming in really hard lately, the last 5 years, I wouldn't say that's as much as true as it used to be. Because we can buy all the American beers here now, right? Mm-hmm. There are some amazing Canadian beers. I'm not gonna pretend, but if you really want to get real strong beer, the craft beer is where it's at. Like the beer I buy is 11%.
Okay.
This is not that. I do not drink those beers on these because I'd already be asleep. I'd be like out cold in front of you, and you'd be like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy?" But I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, there are definitely some good Canadian beers.
Yeah,
you won't be disappointed.
every time I get a chance to actually go somewhere else, and I mean, like I'm chopping Shane's balls every time because I know he's in Texas. And one of the things that I always ask him specifically is like, there's a gas station that's well known in Texas, and lobster is seafood meatloaf.
I'm sorry, that was the best comment. Thank you, Kathleen.
But yeah, basically, I literally have to have something from where I visited. I'm kind of like one of those food tourists. Mm-hmm. that definitely has to try something from each area that I go to because I feel like I've been there. And obviously picking up a snake from that area, ball python for whatever collection I can actually ship down here is another added bonus,
Well, you come up here, you have some poutine, you bring some ketchup chips home with you, and then we send you an asphalt.
Oh, there you go.
Oh my God, I just said it the regular way. I must be really drunk. It's asphalt. Don't say asphalt. That's weird.
Yeah, asphalt is like the American version, I think.
The Merc, yeah, it is. Merc, huh? No, yeah, it's 100% asphalt up here. I totally understand that is completely incorrect. I don't care. So, Ron, man, we've been going on an hour. I've only asked you one question so far.
Oh God, I'm sorry, man.
No. You're making my job easy. Okay, so somebody asked me this while we were waiting on you, but I want to know on your end, how many clutches are you expecting this year?
Well, I recently had a move. And before that move, I was basically pairing everything that I could. I always try to leave a female or two on the side for a follow-up season because I'm very mythical with what I pair. And if I don't feel the male goes right with that female, I'll just basically bench her for a few seasons until I'm comfortable with what I want to produce. My expectation was actually 26, but I didn't hit those numbers because of the move. I had like 5 females that reabsorbed. So in the incubator, I still have 7 clutches, and I still have 10 females to lay eggs. So if everything goes good, it should be a total of 18 because I already actually have. I cut one yesterday, so the first one's already been out for 2 weeks. So it's about 18 clutches. What I expect to actually close the season.
Wow. So you're sitting at 18. Dude, right now I'm at, I think, 10. And I think I'm guaranteed 13. And I'm just hoping others keep going. So, like, you're putting me to shame this season, too. Damn.
Let me tell you, I gotta be real honest with you. Basically, I mean, like I fought tooth and nail to actually postpone it as long as I could because the ones that reabsorbed were the ones that I really were hoping on. Because, like for example, I'm not gonna hit dreamsicles this season.
That was me
My
last year, man.
lavender, yeah, she reabsorbed. My head clowns, they reabsorbed. And the funny thing is that they I saw them just before I actually moved, and they were at 30. And as soon as I got where I am now, they immediately, just in 2 days, they went down to 15. And then 3 days after that, they went down to 0.
So this is actually a topic that I was actually waiting to have Gavin from Balls View discuss with me because apparently he's pretty well versed in it. But I think this is a good time to bring it up because you've already brought it up. It's becoming more and more apparent to me that there's no endpoint in terms of where females can reabsorb. And that said, there was a post on Facebook recently on one of the bigger ball python groups asking how late is the latest you've ever seen a girl reabsorb. Nick and I this year had one at 38 millimeters reabsorb. I've seen multiple other people say they've had false ovulations and have the girl still reabsorb. So I'm starting to believe that what we think we understand about these snakes isn't totally true. And it's really funny because my first year back, and I don't know if you kind of know our story. I don't know if you follow like Billy's podcast or much about this.
Yeah, I seen that you've been off and on, and you
Yes.
came back. Yes,
Yeah. So
I was that.
I was in it a long time ago. I came back. My first year back, I didn't have any clutches, and that was fine. Like I was kind of just finding my footing again, and we weren't the reptile ward yet. Like I was just sort of, enjoying the snakes and considering breeding and whatever. And I bred I bred 2 animals. Neither of them ended up going, but I bred a spider and I bred a fire. Both of these animals went to a banana pastel butter pinstripe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both the girls were giving me all the signs. They were bull wrapping, blah, blah, blah. The spider just stopped giving me the signs and ended up going back on food about 3 weeks later. So I was like, okay, she's not going to go. The fire had what I wish I still had the picture. There's no other explanation other than she had an ovulation. She ballooned up one day, like huge. So I waited and waited and waited, and she didn't shed. And then she went back to the hot side of the tub, and I was like, okay, maybe I missed the shed, or maybe she missed the shed. Maybe that's a thing that happens. It's not a thing that happens, guys. So she started hanging out on the hot side. 30 days goes by, nothing. 40 days, nothing. 50 days, nothing. I hold her up and I'm like, wow, there is nothing inside this animal. And I sent some pictures to some breeders I know. Obviously sent some pictures to Billy because like him and I had just started talking again. That was basically right before I started working for him again. Or working for him, period. Sorry. Not again. I didn't work for him before. And he was like, no, she's not gravid at all. And then she just never went. Never laid anything, went back on food. And actually, she just laid a clutch for she laid for us last year, but she just laid a clutch this year again for our friend Jay over at Pretty Balls. But yeah, no, I legit had one of those false ovulations, and it made me second guess literally everything that I thought I knew about ball pythons. It was crazy.
Actually, that's what makes the ball python that interesting because there's nothing written in stone.
Mm-hmm.
What you thought that you knew from past breeders by their experience, it's been proven that other people with other regions will have a total different, outcome. I have a whiteboard, as a matter of fact, that I go by. That basically the guideline was that 35. Once a female reaches 35, she's not going to reabsorb. That's the finish line. You don't have to worry about it. And before I actually had an ultrasound, I was guessing. I was basically guessing. There was so many females that I swore because they ballooned up, like you said, they were off food. And I would wait all the way up to December when the another season starts and the female actually just starts eating all over again. So that was a conversation I had back and forth with Shane at one time. And that's when he invested first in an ultrasound machine. And he told me the benefits of that, for example, he had a situation that he had a female reabsorb and then she built up again and she gave him eggs.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like very different than what most people will tell you. But because he had the ultrasound and he actually could see the development, the reabsorb, and then, I mean, like, there's no other way to explain it. And if you ask someone else, they'll just blow it off like, it's by chance. I myself had a female that actually went through 2 sheds before she actually dropped her eggs 10 days after that second shed.
So I think I have a theory about the double shed before laying eggs. But on top of that, so Shane, what you're telling me is Shane had one reabsorb and then rebuild and go on to lay eggs?
Yes.
Very quickly after reabsorbing, I assume, right?
Yes.
So I think what happens is usually when females reabsorb, it just like resets their cycle and then they start building on their normal timeline. But because they didn't expend the energy, I imagine, and this is 100% a theory, do not take this as gospel, anybody, please. They conserved that energy, right? They did not go on to expend it. They didn't build the eggs any further. Like, they conserved all that energy. I assume they'll go on to eat for a little while. There's no reason why their body can't immediately restart that process. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand when they go on to lay eggs and then there's the wait for the build for follicles. Like, it's an expenditure on the entire body system, right? It's a huge expenditure. They need to build the energy and all that kind of crap again. But it doesn't make any sense for me if a female reabsorbs, why that female couldn't, even if it's just occasionally, start building very soon after that again. Like, they haven't expended any extra energy. So I've actually seen that happen a few times, and I've had a ton of people be like, "Oh, well, you must have not known, you must have missed it. Like, they must have just been."
Yes, that's always a response that
I don't think so.
It's always that, but that's basically going back to by their own experience. But like I said, each snake, they're individual. I mean, like, the experience that you have on a specific season will not necessarily repeat itself the following season. And we're talking about the same snake. I have snakes, for example, that laid, and that's another theory that I've heard mentioned so many times, that once a snake established herself on a certain time that she lays, she will continue laying faithfully.
And I have proof that is a thing. Not proof, but like, I have documentation to agree with you.
Well, my clown, as a matter of fact, she was the first one that laid this season. She dropped her eggs in May, and seasons before that, she's a July, August lay. So she actually went almost as far as 3 months in advance. And the thing is, this female, and this is the other thing that a lot of people question, when they should give a female a break. When should they skip that season? If the female should actually go off or not. And I honestly feel that basically the ball pythons, they know when they want to go and when they want to skip. And that could actually probably explain why my ball pythons reabsorbed, because they just did not want to go. So basically, there's a lot of things within this that basically it's always new for us. Even if we've been breeding so long, we're always going to find something that just contradicts what we thought we knew.
I'm very glad I had you on, Ron, because you're reiterating things that I believe and I already know, and I just don't have a chance to talk about on these shows a lot. But I firmly believe you're correct in what you just said, in that when the females need a year off, they're going to take it themselves.
Exactly. Yes.
They already know, their body knows. I'll take that one step further. Who was it? God damn it. Oh, it was Wilma Rose, Royal Canadian Reptiles. I don't remember if it was on a live. I don't remember if it was just when him and I were shooting the shit. But he always told me that when he has a female that gives him 5 to 8 eggs, there's a much better chance that that female is going to go on to reproduce the next year than a female that gives him 9 to 13 eggs. And he thinks it's about the expenditure of the female. And it makes a lot of sense, because after he told me that, I went and looked back, and all my big clutches from 2019, none of my females from those that laid those big clutches, none of them laid for me last year. All of them laid for me this year, but not a single one laid for me last year. And it's just kind of a crazy thing to think about. Like, these animals evolved to know when they can do their shit, essentially. You know what I mean? Like, these females know when they're okay to lay and when they're okay to incubate their eggs, even though we take them. I think they're well aware.
Let me even take it one step further. When I first started breeding, when I first started actually dabbling into this, I was one of those breeders that basically, or beginner breeders, I would have to say, that I wanted to make sure I had a season. So I would actually pair like 7 males to that one female.
Oh, shit.
I was like, you're going to lay because you're going to lay. I'm going to make sure one of these guys is going to get you. That female will decide which of those sperms she's going to use, which she'll hold back and retain, and then basically give it out that following year or even 2 seasons after. So just to give you an idea, they really do have control of what they want to do. If they want to drop eggs, if they want to reabsorb, if they want to actually hold on to that sperm because whatever reasons, So just with that alone, and someone made the comment about 2 oviducts and two oviducts and 2 hemipens. Obviously, when a male is pairing up with a female, he's not using both. He's only using one. Because the second one that he has is for that other female that if he ever finds out along the way.
And so many people don't realize that when ball pythons lock, the male's only using 1 hemipene. It is a huge thing. And that's the whole reason why multiple locks are actually usually a good idea for females, because you're really hoping that the male decides to use his other hemipene to fertilize the other oviduct. But it's kind of crazy, because if you actually were to pop a male after locking a female, you can tell which hemipene was used.
Yes.
Which people don't know. There's so much about this hobby that people don't know, and it's awesome. I love it. There's always so much to learn.
And you know what's even more crazier about this? I mean, like, I had the experience, and Shane one-upped me. This is the thing about Shane. Shane is a newcomer within the season. And he killed it because he was making basically 10, 11, 12, 13 clutches per snake. On his first
dude
season.
hits like 900 Batmans in one clutch somehow.
There you go.
What the fuck?
I mean, like, he keeps hitting on that. Not only that, I had my very first experience with a parthenogenesis clutch,
Mm-hmm.
and Shane one up me with that. He also hit a partho, but his partho proved something that I didn't even think was possible.
What was that?
If you have a recessive snake,
Yep.
and you pair it to whatever that is not recessive, obviously you're going to get hets.
Mm-hmm.
He actually proved parthos were visuals of that recessive.
Oh, that's the thing, though. For partho clutches, parthenogenesis, so the offspring is basically any combination, any possible combination of the mother's genetics, including copies.
Exactly. So he
So
got
if
a
you have
double
a
super.
pastel
He got a
female,
double super. He got a double super out of
yeah,
that clutch. A double, not a one. Besides the visual, I think it was a genetic stripe, but he also, I think it was a super vanilla. Correct me if I'm wrong,
mm-hmm.
Shane. But he basically, and I never heard of that. I mean, like, I never heard about a partho. I used to actually criticize people before, saying that that's impossible. Snakes can't reproduce by themselves. You know, they need the male.
Yep.
Until I actually hit a clutch. And I was like,
Yep.
wait a second.
Billy had in 2019 a clown, fire clown. Yes, it was a fire clown female, and it was a crazy pairing too. Like, it was, he was actually kind of pissed about it. It was something crazy, some crazy combo visual recessive head clown. He put it to this fire clown, right? And it was nuts. Like, it should have been like a $75,000 clutch. And he gets this clutch from this fire clown, and he hits a bunch of super fires. And the male does not have anything even close to fire. So he has a bunch, and when I say a bunch, I think it was 3. Yeah, he got 3 animals, like viable animals, and they're all super fires.
You know, and that's the thing about parthos, and I think it was Ryan and Ben. They had Warren Booth on his episode, and they were actually talking about parthos. And
Yep.
I actually, there we go, super vanilla G stripe. That's what Shane hit. I mean, like, he got the visual genetic stripe plus the super vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like that. I can't even explain that. But one of the things that Warren Booth said that I've noticed, and Shane also noticed this, is that basically in a partho clutch, at least half of the clutches will be kinked out beyond recognition.
Or
And
they
that's
won't make it at
exactly
all.
what I'm sorry?
Or they won't make it at all. Like,
right.
they die in incubation because the genetics essentially just aren't there, right? Like, the mother can only pass on so much.
Well, out of my partho clutch, I actually produced 7. And it would be basically more or less like the example that 7 that lived.
Out of how many?
Out of 9.
Jesus.
Out of 9.
That is
7.
That's the best producing partho clutch I've personally ever heard of.
No, but Shane hit basically, I believe he got, if I'm not mistaken, 4 or 5 from his.
Out of how many though?
He had more or less about like nine eggs, I believe.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, if you got 7 out of 9, like, usually it's around, if not just over half. So if you got 7 out of 9, that's a very high number. Like, you got very lucky.
No, but the thing is, going back to what you mentioned about Billy, because I was pissed because when I was, he only got 3. 3 out of 9. Okay. Billy, like you said, that he put the fire clown to that crazy combo, and he was expecting like a $7,000 snake out of the whole clutch and everything. I put my super gravel. What I wanted to produce was pastel highways and highways, and I had 9 eggs. I mean, like 9 eggs. I was like the only one in the island at that time that would be basically putting out highways and pastel highways. I had a list of people actually, waiting for those eggs to hatch.
Oh, I know where you're going. Yep, I got it.
Yeah, and then basically when you cut one, it's like a white egg, and you're thinking, I was like, could this be a pastel highway? And I was like, okay, let's go on to the next one, and it's just keep getting whiter and whiter and whiter, and you're like, I get what you're talking about with Billy, and that goes back to, again, the female. I don't know why, because she was being paired. What would actually set her into the mode that she did not want that pairing, and she decided to basically do it herself?
What's crazy is too, when you actually really start digging into the partho conversation. Oh my God, we've already gone an hour and a half. This is awesome. When you really start digging into the partho conversation and into people's experiences, there's evidence of Partho clutches, obviously, but then there's also evidence of clutches that are only half parthenogenesis and then half fertilized. So like it's really crazy when you think about it, because any of your females that you're super excited about this or that or whatever, like if they decide they could just lay a double of themselves, fuck you. Like
yeah, exactly. That's a big fu.
Matter.
That's a big fu right there. I mean, like take them eggs.
I have a butter cine clown female that I'm really relying on for our stranger combo het clown male. She could just make a super butter, super cine, fuck me over. It's her choice. Like, it's so crazy.
Yeah, and I gotta say that's kind of the downside, and I could understand why a lot of I would say ship jumpers, they basically jump ship because basically it's too exhausting, because when you build yourself up for that season, you're pairing from the beginning, and that's all you're working about, and that's all you're talking about, and that's basically what you're promoting, and you're promising these genes to other people. Obviously you want your whole back, but you're so focused on that, and then basically the female doesn't do what you would expect her to do. And then that's kind of like the biggest downer that a lot of people go through. And it's hard to overcome that, especially when it's your first clutch. Now, when you have other clutches in the incubator, that basically it can be basically your condolences, basically your consolation. I'm sorry, your consolation prize.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Yep.
Yeah, that you have something else to rely on, that you're not only stuck with that one. Then it'll compensate basically the loss of not actually hitting on what you wanted to hit. Mm-hmm. So my example basically with the dreamsicle not hitting it this season, it just basically, I'm just motivated that I know that this season that's coming now, I'm not going to make a regular dreamsicle. It's going to be a combo with something else.
Yep. No, and you know what? It's so tough to prepare. Why can't I talk words? It's so tough to prepare, especially in our hobby, because we think we have all these ideas of what we want to do. And then you either hit something, or all of a sudden you want to buy something, or all of a sudden, something reabsorbs on you and your entire track for a plan gets derailed. So it's really hard to actually prepare. So when people say stuff like this, what are your goals for the next 3 to 5 years? It is incredibly difficult to actually answer that question and answer it accurately, because I could tell you what my plans for next year are, and by buying one animal between now and then,
it'll change the whole thing.
Completely different, right? So,
yeah.
Ron, I apologize. I have to run to the bathroom. If you want to start answering this question, I would really appreciate it, just so there's not a lot of dead air. But just for people that are only listening and not watching, what are your goals for the next 3 to 5 years for BBM Reptiles? And I'll be right back.
Okay. Wow. This is easy. Yeah, it's a dance for me. Shane actually knows basically that, the most dangerous thing you can actually do is just leave an open mic for me, because I'll go off. But 3 to 5 years, I'm going to be realistic. When you're working your projects, it's always going to change, because it's up until you have that female at breeding size, you might come across another male. And that other male can actually throw everything off that you were planning while you were raising that female. Now, remember, if you bought a female hatchling, you basically bought them because that's the easiest way to start up a project, especially if it's a high-end one. It's going to take you 2 to 3 years. And those 2 or 3 years, you already have that male that you want to use. But by the time she's at 2,000 grams or 1,800 grams, all of a sudden, Billy hits another video. He comes out with the craziest combination, something that you never thought of. And then you said, you know what? Now I have to switch the male that I originally wanted with my female. So my personal 3 to 5 year goal is, realistically, I just want to actually hit the visuals with doubles and triples. I basically, the Grail, which is the Lavender Clown. But by the time I get to the Lavender Clown, it has to be a combo, additional, not just a basically Lavender Clown. So that's my goal specifically with a 3 to 5 years, because that's basically how long it'll actually make me to get that specific combo that I'm looking for. So let's see. Nope, I just jumped in what I believed in. So yeah, that's basically in
So
a
I
nutshell.
actually heard part of that. So just to touch on kind of what you were just mentioning, not only does it take a weird season or an animal that you picked up or another wrench put in your plans to change up your season. All it takes is one person hitting one animal that you didn't think fucking possible at all.
Exactly.
And you go, oh my God, I have the ingredients to do that.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden you go, well, I was going to do this, but now fuck that. So it's incredibly hard to actually make a 3 to 5 year goal plan. And that's actually why I put this question in there, just to kind of showcase to people that it's okay to have long-term goals. 100% it is. Like, we obviously have long-term goals. Nick and I have been wanting to hit a clown pied for 3 years. Next year we have 5 or 6 chances at one, right? But we will not buy one. I will not buy a clown pie. We're going to make our first one. But what that clown pie has in it, there's been a lot of changes to the project since we started on it, right? Like, we put leopard into it, GHI. Like, we've added to the project as we've gone, and it's crazy. It's crazy how much your project can change based on one person's post or one idea. That's all it takes. Anyway, Ron, thank you for hosting the live while I had to run out there.
Yeah, Royal Genetics Reptiles. I know that last season, I think it was, he hit an ivory clown from Apartho.
What? What a fucking animal to hit,
Apartho.
dude. Oh my God. That's sick.
So I mean, like, it's hard to actually think which way to actually look at it when you're actually making your breeding plans. Going back to the 3 to 5 year project we were talking about, even if you get that pairing, what are the odds? And Kenny, which Royal Genetic Reptiles can actually testify, is instead of actually producing everything females, you hit everything males. You have nothing basically to breed back, because we all know that in a pairing, the male is always the powerhouse. The male is always the powerhouse. So you're thinking, or you're hoping that you're going to get a female out of that clutch to breed back to the dad. But if you're unlucky enough, and that basically the chromosome that basically dominated the whole thing, and you got a clutch full of males, that'll just set you back another 2-3 years. So now we're talking about a 7-year goal.
So you're directly talking about me and my 2019 and my entire 2019 season was basically us trying to make double hets to grow up for the future and constantly just getting fucked on every time. I made one female my entire 2019 season.
Wow.
One girl. Yeah. I had 3 double het clown pie clutches. One girl. Not even in that one of those clutches. The one girl is this girl right here. And she's nice and big now. Spot nose het clown. This is the only female I made. It was a good female to make. Wow.
Especially spot nose, and look how big she is. I mean,
I'm very appreciative for her. 100% I am. I love that animal. But out of all the things I could have made, the fact that that's all I made, oh, it hurts. Like, I'd have multiple double het clown pie combos breeding right now.
Oh, wow.
Had I hit even somewhat good odds, had I got one female in each clutch, I would probably be 3 more years ahead of myself right now. But
going back to that, I believe it wasn't last season. It was the season prior, like 2 seasons ago. Bob Vu, the perfect person. He was only hitting males that whole season. He was only hitting males. And everyone was ripping on him, basically telling that he had to basically switch up his incubator, because that's probably what it was. But he actually had a season that every snake he was hitting on producing were all males.
It happens. Trust me, from experience.
That's why they talk about 3 to 5 to 6 to 7 year goals or time it takes actually to actually hit on that.
When people talk about goals and things to look forward to, say somebody tells you, if you're starting out with a lavender pied project and you're working with a pied and you're working with a lavender, you're looking at 3 years if
50%.
you're very, very lucky, 5 to 6 years if you're unlucky, right? That's only if you get very lucky. Basically every year. If for the first 2 years you're doing that pairing, you only get 3-4 eggs and everything's a male, trust me, you're not going to be hitting that animal on year 4. You're not going to be hitting that animal on year 5. So there is a lot of little shit that people don't really talk about a whole lot. You know what I mean? Like the whole guideline to double recessive and stuff obviously is brought up fairly often, but it's not brought up in a way that people realize. I shouldn't say people, but it's not brought up in a way that the risk is accentuated. You know what I mean? Like when people say it's a 2 to 4 year project, it could be a 10-year project. People don't usually say that part because they want to sell you their animals and they want you to believe that you can do it and there's a chance you can do it. But it very well could be a 10-year project. I told you we're looking to make clown pies.
Let me actually show you a perfect example. When I work my doubles and my triples and my quads, those are holdbacks. They're all holdbacks.
Oh, absolutely.
If I ever decide to sell anything, it's always the males. It's always the males because I can always reproduce them the following season. I stay back with all the females. I never let my females go. I'm going to show you 3 triples. They're clutch mates. They're clutch mates. This is one of them. And this is the triple head for lavender clown pied.
Oh,
this is
that
one.
is clean.
Yeah, this is one of them. And you want to know something that's even crazier? This is from a dual sire clutch.
Really?
This was a dual sire clutch, actually. So this is one of the females. This is the other female. They're clutch mates. They're clutch mates.
They are both so clean, though. They're so nice.
Now, I'm going to show you the other clutch mate. This is the other one, and this is the clutch mate. What I'm trying to actually show you is basically, if you can tell the difference in size.
Jesus!
This one, basically, she surpassed these other two and their clutch mates. So if you basically buy one from one person, if you're picking her up, and that female just basically is really, really slow at actually putting on that weight because she's, I guess, zealous at how she's eating, that's where you're going to see basically projects take 6, 7, or even 8 years to prove out.
Well, yes. And actually, you're bringing up a very good point. A lot of people don't sell their females in their big projects if they're doing well. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have 2 ivory, het pied, pus het lab females growing up. I have one that's at 1,100 grams. They hatch together in the same clutch. Can you guess where the other one's at? 500 grams. Less than half the size. So if I decided to sell one of them, it wouldn't be the 1,100 gram one. It would be the shitty eater, shitty grower 500 gram one, right? So people need to realize that when they're buying females too. It's sometimes better to make your own only because at least you know their background. And you can kind of control their environment. Like I said, if I like the 500 gram animal's eating well, it's eating every day. It's just not growing quickly. It'll probably continue to not grow quickly.
I have a lesser desert ghost, head genetic stripe, female. I bought her 4 years ago. I still have not been able to get her to breeding.
Oh man.
4 years, 4 years. You know
Hmm.
how many chances I've got to miss out on making desert goes heads with something else.
Hmm.
This is my first season that I actually, because I actually had to buy the male because the female wasn't actually putting in a part.
Hmm.
And I know breeders here locally that's been sitting on snakes for over 10 years that they literally said they're going to actually grill the snake. They're going to put it up on a grill and eat it. Because if they had to waste that much money for that snake and it doesn't want to actually produce, they're just going to eat the snake. You know, that's how frustrated he was getting with that specific snake because it wasn't, it was taking him that long to actually, put in. And what it costs, and that's the thing, and this is like years back when you don't tell your spouses how much the snakes cost. You want it in a raffle or a friend had gifted it to you or something like that, but you never go into details. And this snake actually, he told me it cost him $8,000. And he's been sitting on that snake for 10 years and it hasn't been able to produce for him. But he actually did get one, but he already got tired of the project and the price actually tanked from what he bought and what he expected to get back from it. So
So
that's
10,
another
10
thing.
years it took him to
10
get a clutch.
years to get us clutch off that snake.
I have that beat. I have 12.
Oh, wow.
I bought a proven breeder, spider female, back in 2009. Right? Beautiful. Actually, I'm not even gonna describe it. She's right here. Nope, wrong bin. She's right here. This animal's at least 20 years old.
Oh, get
Spider.
out of here. Get out of town.
Dude, she's fucking mass. Like, she's so big. She's a little skinny right now because I don't know why she's off food, but just a spider. Like, got some wobble, whatever. I bought her 2007, 2008, somewhere in there. I bought her in there. She was a proven breeder, adult female. Didn't breed for me till 2019. So she was at least 13 to 15 years old.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And then she didn't breed for me last year or this year either. I kept her while I got out of the hobby. I kept her as a pet because I felt bad.
Okay. I was about to say, you're going to match that record from that zoo with that 30-year-old snake that actually.
Not quite that bad, but no, she's. If I had to guess based on sort of how she acts, because she acts very different than the rest of my snakes, I'd say she's closer to like 20-ish. Like I would not doubt if she was one of like the first female spiders ever made. And don't take me at my word for that, but she just acts different. You know what I mean? Like she's just a little slower and a little more complacent with everything. Mm-hmm. So I don't fucking know. She still eats great. She's still doing gret. So
okay, whatever. Now let me switch around and ask the question to you because I asked this question to a lot of people. They I always get the response, not the one that I'm looking for. So, but I still always throw out the question.
Ask away, man.
What would you consider your favorite codom gene that has not worked?
Oh man, I'm pretty sure you're stealing one of my questions. That isn't worked. Honestly,
it's your favorite.
If I can twist this a little bit, this is really tough for me because the gene that I don't think is given enough credit is pinstripe. And I think that pinstripe has a lot to offer in basically every recessive on the market right now, and people don't see it. That said, people still work with pinstripe quite strongly, right? So it's hard. If I had to just pick a gene that isn't worked with at all or not much, oh man, that's tough. Dude, I'll never deny it. I love spider. I love spiders. I don't care. I love them. So that's my answer. I love them.
Well, you want to know something? I never did jump on that train about basically about the spider not working with it. I tried to limit my spider in my collection because when you get to the point that I do, that I'm basically working with double and triple heads,
Hmm.
the only way you're gonna get the visual is, unfortunately, you're gonna have to breed the siblings.
Yep.
There's no way around it. Or if you want to take the extra 2 years and breed it from another pairing, but why wait the extra 2 or 3 years when you can have it from that pairing that you just hatched out? Um, but Spider redeemed itself in my eyes ever since I saw it in the Super Orange Dream, Fire, Spider, Yellow Belly. And when I went to Tinley, which is the one that you said that you also went to,
Hmm.
I went to Ozzy's table. He kicked it up with Clown and Desert Ghost.
I know exactly which animal you're talking about too, which is really funny. That's
And that
amazing
that
though.
it
It's
knocked it out the park. It
oh,
literally knocked it out the park. It revalidated the validation that I already had given with the Super Orange Dream alone and the Fire. Now, going back to that, and this is the reason why I asked that specific question: what is a person's or a breeder's favorite codom gene that's not worked with? Is because there are a lot of genes that are not worked with until someone unlocks it with a combo that blows everyone away. Then all of a sudden, everyone jumps on the bandwagon.
yep.
Mine's
I have some examples. Continue going, but I want to touch on this a little more.
mine's, and I asked this specific question to Billy. Mine's is the champagne.
Oh, wasn't
And
expecting that. I get it though. Like makes
yep.
sense.
And why? Because you just need, because champagne is so overpowering. Just like
Hmm.
bamboo. Bamboo is another overpowering. Pinstripe is another overpowering.
Just like
Spider is
monsoon,
another
man. People are
overpowered.
scared of monsoon because they think it's the be all
It-
end all. I get it, man. I'm here
exactly.
for it.
But Justin once told me this because I asked him the question. There's always a complement to a combo that
Oh
has
yeah.
not been known. And there's some people, because of whatever reasons, they're holding back because what they heard, but not what they experienced. Justin is a
Yes.
pioneer. Justin is a pioneer because he basically has to actually go to that frontier that no one has traveled. So I see it the same way with the champagne. The champagne, you just have to put Enchi in that and then put in clown and then knock in something else also. Then all of a sudden you're hitting a crazier version of a Pompeii.
Sorry, I had to show this girl off. I love her.
I'm
Leo's
I'm
Leo
assuming.
Spider, double head compide, fifty
Oh
percent
gosh.
hatch.
Oh gosh.
Female. Sorry, man. Anyway,
No, but I mean, like, that's basically what it. What was Shane's question that popped up there? What's both your opinions on best double visuals? Oh gosh.
wait, best double visuals.
I
Hold on, let me
hand
find this question. Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
This
hands
is tough.
down, hands down. There's two of them off the top of my mind: Desert Ghost Clown and Desert Ghost Puzzle.
My favorite is Clown Pied. I don't think anything's ever going to beat Clown Pied in my head because I think Clown Pied has the potential for certain combos and not done yet per se. Um, Literally the best of both worlds, if that makes sense. It seems like both genes respond very well to the genes that work with them individually. So if you were to hit, say, a leopard, Enchi, yellow belly, orange stream, clown pied, I think that thing would just be out of the park. You know what I mean? I think for a lot of double recessives, one of the two recessive genes reacts very well to most combos, and the other one's like, oh, it's okay, in my opinion, anyway. But I'm always gonna love Clown Pied, and honestly, I think Miguel is really fucking leading the way with the Clown Pied shit.
And even going one step further, that I didn't actually add this on, but Antoine just picked up a 1.1 from Miguel,
Yep,
which is basically the Desert Ghost Sunset. I
yep.
mean, like, that's the ingredients that I truly believe will need to avoid the browning out issue of the sunset that so many people hate having. Now, put something else on top of that, just making it a combo. But just the Desert Ghost alone, I kind of think Desert Ghost basically complements any recessive that you have out there with pattern or colors.
I don't think there's a single gene that you can find out there that Desert Ghost is not going to complement. And I can't say that about I can't say that about any other.
Shane is so controversial.
Enhancer is a shittier version of DG. Done. Sorry. No, I'm just joking. They're the same thing, quote unquote. Enhancer is more blushed and more bright. Desert Ghost enhances blacks better. It's all about opinion. I love Desert Ghost. I love the dark blacks. But it's all about what you like. Honestly, in 10 years, they're all going to be the same thing. People are going to mix them and nobody's going to know.
Yeah, I feel the same thing with Exantic. You know, when you got so many different lines of Exantic, MJ, TSKs, the VPIs.
Yep.
I mean, like, there's so many different ones and stuff. And it's hard to keep up. I mean, like, it's all about personal preference.
100%. And that's the thing. I work with VPI. Other people work with MJ. Apparently, I have to buy some TSK Xanthic because my Leopard DG Het Pied might be also Het VPI or TSK Xanthic, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
I don't even want to think about that right now. Yeah, so apparently, you know that line of Xanthic Justin keeps popping up in his stuff?
Yeah, the secret one that he
yeah, the one he posted the video on not long ago.
Yeah.
So our Leopard DG Het Pied comes from Justin. He made it, right? And the original breeder bred him, made a bunch of babies, and then put them up for auction, and we got them. Well, one of the babies proved out TSK Xanthic. So I think Justin's line of Xanthic is TSK, and I think that also means that our crazy-ass male that I am very excited about just being a Leo DG Het Pied is also Het TSK Xanthic. So now we have to find either a het or a visual TSK Xanthic female to prove them out, which will not be an easy task.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the same problem that I had with the asphalt. When I was actually looking for asphalt, I could not find one, so I had to settle for the gravel. The same thing with Xanthic. When I personally was looking for Xanthic, and I said this for like years, and Kenny could testament, and even Shane, because these are conversations that we had for like years. If I ever was going to dive into Xanthic project, it had to be TSK.
Mm-hmm.
When I finally got my hands on an Xanthic that I was looking for, I can only find it in VPI. So I got stuck with the VPI. So now, unfortunately, I'm going to have to push the VPI project like I'm pushing the gravel because I couldn't find the ones that I was looking for.
Now, to be fair, though, when it comes to VPI, VPI is in a good spot. If you don't like it, if it's not your favorite line of VPI, it's kind of tough. But VPI is in a good spot because it's been the most worked with.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you can find the combos you want. If you want to buy a piece of your puzzle, it's a lot easier. If you're working with, say, MJ or TSK, to wait for a specific
you have to make them yourself. You'd have to make them yourself.
Either you have to make it yourself, or you have to wait a long time and pay out the ass. And I'm not saying the VPI versions you don't have to pay. I really do like the Xanthic versions for certain projects. I think Xanthics are amazing. But VPI is definitely the forefront in terms of what it's been put to and what you can find. You know what I mean? And that's actually the reason we went with VPI for our double recessive projects. It's just because it's a lot easier to pick up pieces, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I figured, it was easier for me going that route because of the accessibility. It's a lot more easier to find. For example, if I'm looking for an Xanthic clown, the majority I'm going to find is basically the VPI line. You're not going to find too many of them. And if I find exantic pieds, they're all TSK lines, but you
Or
won't
if
see
you're
too
up
many
in Canada, they're
VPI
all MJ pied
or
lines.
MJ pieds. Exactly, the lightning pieds.
This girl's a VPI xanthic head clown. She's being bred right now. Luke.
VPI exantic head clown.
Yep.
That's what I'm looking for. That's what I need.
And my
a
male
female.
is from Wilma Rose, and he is a spot nose yellow belly clown, 50% het VPI. So if he proves, I will be a happy fella.
Yeah, I'm on a search. As a matter of fact, I'm specifically trying to get a VPI head clown, or if not, then I'm gonna wait to basically Arlington, and if I see if I could find just a VPI clown straight up, but it has to be
That's
a
fair.
female. It has to be a female though.
That's fair. Man, we're almost at 2 hours, so I'm going to try and go through some of these questions I have left because I'm getting quite drunk, and I don't know if I can. No,
and that's what 11%.
No, this is awesome.
This is what 11% I think Shane was saying. 11%.
I love the ones that go long. These are great. Okay, one of my what are usually starting questions. What's the reason you do this? How do you get into the whole reptile hobby, in general?
Wow, that's a 2-hour answer.
Give me the Coles Notes version.
Yeah, the clip notes.
No. Come on. Give me whatever you got. I want to know.
You know, honestly, I had no expectations. I came in this basically, just buying a pet snake. I had no idea where it would take me, and it's the journey that it took me that continues me actually continue doing this. So the reason why I keep doing this is because of the people that I've met within the hobby, the help that they actually help me to drive each season, and ultimately the surprise that I get every season when I cut something up. There was one specific season I actually cried when I opened an egg because the results was something I never expected.
I've been there, man. I've been there. That said, that question leads into this question. How and when did you actually get into the hobby?
It goes back to the Kenny Aponte from Royal Genetics Reptiles.
Nice.
The funny thing is that I actually saw a regular ball python in a regular pet store. We just finished dinner and we were going out for ice creams, and by happen there was a pet shop next door. I saw a pet store. I walked in and I was looking for fishes because I heard fishes are Pacific animals that you can actually a calming animal. You can actually just sit back and look at them swim and or even float upside down when you got to change them. And I saw ball python. I didn't actually buy it, but then I hit the local Craigslist here in Puerto Rico, and it got me to other breeders. And that's when I started finding out that all snakes are not the same, that they had a different value. It hit me up with Kenny, which I met him through the classifieds. He actually gave me my first snake. He told me about a Facebook group. That Facebook group would do cookouts and reunions. And from there, I said, "Whoa, this is pretty good." So I got to say, Kenny, he hit me up in 2012, actually, with my first snake.
That's fucking awesome. Thank you, Kenny, for giving us Ron in the hobby. That's fucking amazing. Okay, so this is a somewhat similar question, but a little bit removed. What made you realize you wanted to work with animals in general?
It's the wow factor. It's the wow factor. I mean, like there's nothing more than that I can say, because when you actually, and the wow factor, you get it in 2 steps or 2 stages, because the first part is that you have your family members that are saying that this is like the crazy family person that we don't want to visit because he keeps snakes. Why would he do something like that? It makes no sense. Why can't he be a normal person and have a dog or a cat? And when they actually see the interaction, not only that I get when I actually produce my very first clutch, when I'm actually hatching out that very, very first baby snake from pairing up, and then they see the wide variety of colors and the possibilities, and then they see that there is a world out there. There's a lot of like-minded people that feel the same, and they're validating what you're doing. And one time I went to an expo with my son. He was floored how people were actually just would not even let me walk in the door. He was like, and this was in Florida. It wasn't even here locally in Puerto Rico. I mean, like I was stopped at the door. And
Damn.
it was like, why are people, stopping just to take pictures and stuff like that? It's like, because I also do YouTube, and I like to show the passion. And it's the passion that you transmit is how basically people actually fall in love with what you're doing, because you yourself are falling in love with your own projects.
Yeah.
So that basically, when I see other people react the same way, that just floors me. And then it justifies how other people, which I would say family members, they start rationalizing and say, you want to know something, it's not that much of a bad thing, what you're doing. I mean, like, how can I get into this? And what always gets me is that I like to challenge myself. There's local events here held here in Puerto
Mhm.
Rico that there is no snakes involved. I will take a display of snakes, and I will have the area filled with people that are terrified with snakes, and they can't understand why a butter is different than a spider, but they're
Mhm.
the same snake.
Yep.
And just basically going into that conversation with them, I mean, like, they won't leave the table. They won't leave the table. And once in a while, they'll probably just buy one or two and stuff just to take it home. But it's that visualization of wow factor that they get. But then again, it's transmitted by the wow factor that I got from the very start.
That that's what it's all about, man. Like, it really is. It's kind of how you feel. But honestly, we just broke 2 hours. Haven't done that in a while. So I'm gonna keep this going another 50 minutes. I got a couple really fun questions to ask you. And be as honest and open as you can with them. Let me first of the two questions. What was your first big disappointment or letdown in this hobby?
Following someone else.
That is the best answer I've gotten so far. Can you
Yes.
expand a little bit for people?
Okay, following someone else is basically when you start into the hobby because you had a best friend or you had someone that basically was in this a lot more longer, and you consider that person as a mentor. And basically, people's lives will change, their situations will change. So if you lose sight of your own passion of why you started onto this and you just latch onto someone else's dreams and they decide to change it, that will set you back to the point that you said, you know what, I want to get out of this hobby. This is not what I fell in love with. And that actually happened to me the first 2 years within the hobby, because everyone that was in my area was all ball python keepers, and all of a sudden they just jumped ship and they said, I don't want to do this anymore. So I was like the only person left doing ball python. So how can I recreate that passion of actually wanting to continue doing this when I didn't know at that time I was following someone else's passion? So that was the biggest disappointment that I actually got, was that my vision was focused on someone else instead of my own.
Christy, Rockin' Reptiles, says that she loves you.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
No, Chrissy's great people.
Thanks, Christy.
I have not been a part of one of these yet. I am really hoping to be a part of.
Oh, wait a
this
second.
Sundays.
Hey, now I get Christy. Now I know who we're talking about. Christy,
Yes,
the cool one with
Christy's a
the
wonderful
cat.
person.
She's the one with the cat. Yes.
Cat.
Okay, now I know which
I
Christy
thought the
we're
cat
talking
thing was
about.
my thing, Christy. What the fuck?
Okay. Hey, Christy, how you doing?
All right,
I love
Ron.
Christy on the Zoom.
I'm not gonna take too much more of your time. I have one more question for you, and I want you to actually really think about this, because it is my favorite question to ask people. Right? So, if you could remove one gene from the entire hobby, not just what you keep, just have it deleted, right? And that means if an animal is a single gene, it's all of a sudden a normal. So say you say spider. If there's a spider, all of a sudden that spider in somebody's collection becomes a normal, or a lesser becomes a normal. What would that gene be? And would that answer change if it was just restricted to what you keep?
You know, honestly, and this is a real simple one, it's an unfair question because what I would consider something to remove could influence someone's opinion on where they want to take that project.
No,
I can't see.
that's the entire point. Sorry, Ron, here's the thing. Your answer is going to be dependent on. So it's a two-part question, but the first part is dependent on. You don't have to give a fuck what other people are doing, or you can, but you don't have to give a fuck about them if you don't want to.
Okay.
But you can if you want.
I'm gonna get hate.
And then the second part is going to be within your collection. So you can tell me whatever you want. If you want to be real nice to everybody else, go for it. If you want to be a dick, go for it. Because when I answered this question, I was a total dick.
I'm gonna get hate on this. I'm really gonna get hate on this.
No, you won't. I promise you won't.
Okay. And I have to go to this guy's house tomorrow to pick up some rodent blocks.
Oh,
so
no.
basically, yeah,
Oh, no.
It's a specific project that he prides himself with. And, you know, he does something real good with it, but I just don't get it. And it's the nanny gene. You know, that's the one thing I'd have to, you know, I'd have to, you know, eliminate out there. And, you know.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
People
I'm gonna
usually take the easy answer. They're like, oh, spider.
I hope he logged out, you know, that way, you know, he'll actually give me the rodent blocks that I need tomorrow when I have to go pick them up. But
oh, I'm so happy that you gave me a good answer. That is amazing. Okay, so if you had to change that for within your collection, if you could eliminate one gene from your collection, or no, sorry, if you had to eliminate one gene from your entire collection, all your animals stay the way they are, but that gene just disappears, what would it be?
Wow, I would have to say I'd have to hate to say it, but it would have to be pastel, only because it's a dominating.
You're the first person to say
everyone.
Pastel, surprisingly.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's a sad thing, because the thing is, the issue with the pastel is everyone and their grandmother has one.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I completely agree with where you're going, and I understand it. It makes sense, man.
Pastel complements a lot of great combos. I mean, like Desert Ghost shines with pastel. Mm-hmm. Spider blows up with pastel. I mean, like Enchi complements what pastel does. I mean, like you get a brighter snake, forgetting about the fact that Enchi itself is an enhancing gene. But if you get a very clean version of a pastel, and there are shitty pastels, but if you're lucky to get one,
so many shitty pastels.
Yes, I mean, like you get the ugliest ones, but then you get the nice ones like the citrus or the lemons, and you know, but that's like one of the majority that I do have in my collection, and you know, I'm tired of it because I have it in everything. You know, I mean, like I go to sleep, I wake up, and the pastel's staring me at the face.
It's tough when you're looking at your high end pairings, and you're like, oh, this can make a super pastel combo, and I don't want to do it just for that purpose.
Exactly.
That's the tough one. And it's like, I respect you for not saying that for everybody's collection, because there's a lot of people that still love pastel. There 100% is. Like the hate on pastel is very much just the Facebook group mentality.
Now it's not a hate specifically on pastel. The only thing is that I've noticed that everything I have, including high end, has pastel.
Yep.
I mean, like the best part is, at least, you know, I get the supers. I won't just get a super normal.
Yeah, no, and you know what? Like, I appreciate your answer, and the fact that Kathleen said this means I'm just going to reiterate my answer because I find it fucking hilarious. So my answer doesn't change, whether it's everybody's collection or mine. And my answer is lesser. Lesser/butter, I would fucking destroy it because it's the worst part of the bowel complex. It's in so much of my shit that I don't need it in, and it would make my life so much easier. But on top of that, like, the fucking narcissist in me just wants to see all the people that have super lesser bells freak out at the fact that they wake up one day and they have a normal. I'm such an asshole, but it's so, the thought of it is so funny to me that's my answer. 100% that's my answer. It's Lester/Butter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I want people to wake up and be like, what the fuck?
I'm already seeing you're getting a lot of hate from that alone.
I'm good. No, I'm good. They can hate on me all they want. I do. Listen, I see the appeal of Lesser. I work with it way too much. And my answer comes from more a point of comedy for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I would still do it just because I'm that kind of person. Yep.
And that's with only 11%.
Anyway, Ron, dude, we're going on fucking 2 hours and 10 minutes. Damn. This is fucking awesome. I need to eat dinner.
Oh, you go for it. I mean, like, heck, I'm on a diet. I skipped all that. I skipped all that, so I'm just on the water diet. Yeah,
no, I'm getting way too drunk. I need to eat. But dude, Ron, this has been super fucking fun. I honestly think that we should do a not live one of these where we have some pre-scheduled questions, because the way you look at this hobby is very different from other people, and it's very logical. It's very, you know what? I'm just gonna toot your horn. It's smart. Like the way you look at this hobby is very smart. It's very intellectual, and it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
wow, I'm honored actually with those words. I mean, like, those are big words for a simple person like me. Honestly, with everything that you talked about, which you're working with. I mean, like, believe it or not, in this hobby, I've seen that everyone is a beautiful mind.
Every time I fucking.
Now you see why Ron is my mentor.
No, you know what, Ron? It makes sense. Like, you're definitely a smart guy. You definitely know what you're doing and where you're going, and you've definitely thought about what you're doing, which is a huge part of it. A lot of people jump into a lot of this shit without thinking. They do it because they love it, and they do it, and that's not a bad thing, guys. I'm not shitting on it. But they make a lot of purchases without thinking. And it seems like the way that you map out what you're doing is very logistical. It's very planned.
I know you want to step out to eat, and I don't want to extend
this.
Oh,
no. We still got some time, man. I can wait around. Let's keep this going.
But I just wanted to say one thing. Remember, there's always a backstory. Justin didn't start out the other day. Ozzy did not start out the other day.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You have to understand that we all, at one point or another, we made horrible decisions. We made horrible mistakes. And basically learning those mistakes and have to suffer through them is what basically helps you. Do it in the Discord. Private lesson with Ron.
I gotta invite you to the Discord. We're gonna fucking do a Discord learning. Oh man, I'm so excited. That's a great idea. Thank you, Kathleen.
But basically, yeah, trust me. It's if the only reason I have the way of thinking now, I didn't have this way of thinking when I started. Like I said, I was following other people's dreams, and I was making a lot of mistakes, and there was a lot of bad purchases that I did. Team straight edge.
No. Drinking's the way to go. Anyway, no, and you know what? You're 100% right. The decisions we make are based off the backs of the people that we follow and learning from their mistakes, right? So we're going to make our own mistakes, and we're going to see that kind of stuff. But the further we go along, as long as you listen to the people that matter to you and the people that you have trust in, along the line, it's going to take a while, but along the line, people are going to slowly learn to eliminate those mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always going to be the bullshit behind it. There's always going to be the gamble of breeding. There's always going to be the percentages of putting a fucking pied to a het pied. You get 6 eggs and you get no pies. You get 6 eggs and all pies. But as long as we all learn off each other, and as long as we are working together as a community, like this hobby's only going to get better, man. Like it's only going to get better and better and better. We're going to just see cooler and cooler shit that we're all going to want to spend money on, and we're all going to be broke. And this was supposed to be uplifting, but no, we're all just going to be broke all the time because we're all broke fucks. No, it honestly though, like this hobby's the best. Like I love being a part of this. I love being able to talk to guys like you, Ron, and I love being able to meet people like Shane and Kathleen, and it's awesome.
That's basically why it's called a community, because basically there's always that neighbor that's going to actually lend you that cup of sugar,
Yep.
and there's a lot of sugar to go around.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Ron, we're at fucking 2.25 hours. God damn, this has been a long Friday Night Live, and I'm thrilled. I want to have you back on. I'm going to tell you that now. I want to do a roundtable of a few people that I think are very very logical thinkers in the hobby. So I'll reach out to you as soon as we're done here. But if you're cool with it, I would like to tell everybody to expect you to be back.
Oh, I would be, I would be greatly honored, to tell you the truth, because basically, I mean, like, this is what makes the driving factor, of actually,
Mm-hmm.
because like I said, there is going to be that season that you're not going to hit on what you expected, but it doesn't have to be basically that season that makes a difference. It's being active in this and talking with people and communicating and participating. Yep. And doing these sit downs, and it's the best compensation that you get, even if you slug out, because basically that there's a following season, because you're going to have other people basically that you could celebrate their success, even if yours didn't pan out.
That what you said was so perfect, because in 2019 I wasn't as into the social media aspect of the hobby as I should have been. And I explained earlier in our live about how terrible my season was. And part of me considered getting out again, the second time. And ever since I found the community, no matter the downsides I hit, no matter the shit, you know what I mean? Like, no matter the potholes that your fucking road takes you on, like, this community will continue to build you up and support you, no matter how many fucking shitholes you end up in. And it's so nice. It's such a cool feeling to have people behind you and support you, even when you don't hit that animal that you wanted to hit, even when you don't make that fucking crazy combo that you thought you were going to. It's unreal. It is genuinely great.
Yeah, and just to add on to one last point that I just wanted to make, every video that I make, I always have this pendant. This pendant has a very deep significance to me. And this pendant also signifies every single person within the hobby that helped me go through a very, very hard situation. And there's not even one time that I actually don't go out the door, or if I ever do any type of video or Instagram live, that I don't put this pendant on. And I feel the strength of every other person lifting me and going me through. So adding on to the earlier question that I really want to get into, but that's another reason why I'm still in this hobby, because there's too many incredible people not to not want to be in it.
So I did want to end the live soon, but I could not do it without adding this comment. It's really important for the people just listening. Melusine Exotics. Ron was one of the first couple people who agreed to be on my YouTube channel, gave this little no one a shot. First of all, shut up, Kathleen. You're not a no one. Second of all, no, Ron is a awesome person. Um, you know what? This community is all about giving people chances. That's what it is. Whether I know somebody or you know somebody, like, the thing I love about this community is, like, we can support people. You know what I mean? All it takes is us to give up an hour here, an hour there, and it helps others, or it helps us, or it's just, it's such a cool community that is always sort of reaching to be better. So
Definitely.
and I'm gonna end on this. This is a great comment. And we're gonna log out with this comment. 4S's Pythons. Ron is amazing and puts his heart in everything he does, and that heart is so appropriate. I agree. Ron's an amazing dude. He's doing some amazing shit. And yeah, we are going too long and we're losing followers because there's so many lives at 9 o'clock. So we're
thank you very much. I just got to say, honestly, I was taken back when you asked me to be on, and I got to say, I got to thank you very much for just giving me that 5 seconds, chance to be in here.
You're going to be back. Don't even. You're coming back. Like, you will be on this show again. I'm having you back on. This has been so fun. Anyway, continue. I apologize. I got too excited.
No, but thank you again. I just want to say that. And Catherine, again, thank you very much. Also, I mean, you're an incredible person. And it was more than a pleasure, actually, to be, considered to be on your live. And I hope to be on the next one whenever you do. But you definitely can count on me on any other live that you do, Catherine. I'm there.
So, yeah, Kathleen, you are apparently set up if you ever need Ron. But honestly, I do these mostly for a reason to get drunk on Fridays. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think anybody that watches thinks it's not a. I'm not hiding it. But this was so fun, Ron, because you know what you're doing. You know how to articulate what you're doing. You know where you're going, and there's no question behind it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like your path is your path, and that's your thing. So have you on and to go this long has been super fun. But I would love to have you back, especially on a panel of a couple people. And I don't even know who else I would bring on that have the kind of forethought that you have. But yeah,
you want to know something? If I could just interject on that, when me and Shane, we pick each other's minds like you have no idea. I mean, like, there's times that we go crazy with different ideas. I would love to be on a panel with Shane, as a matter of fact, if that could be arranged.
Honestly,
but
if
Shane is
you
the person
and Shane want to come on here, honestly, like, I've been looking for a reason to get Shane. So if we can do that, I will be a very very happy guy. I love Shane. Shane's one of the best people I've talked to. So I'd be thrilled. I we're setting it up. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, I got to tell you, on a personal level, that I know Shane, besides the reptile hobby and stuff like that, because he's opened his doors to me, and I would say virtually. And besides, we have other conversations that I know him on a personal level.
Yep.
And Shane is straight up. He is basically, he's the real deal. He's a real package, and I love that guy. So I can honestly say that he is like a real brother to me.
You know what? Shane is one of those people that are legit. They're not just putting on a front for this hobby. You know what I mean? Like, Shane, everything you see and everything he does is legit. He's a solid dude.
And let me tell you something I didn't know about Shane. Shane knows Spanish.
Oh shit!
Shane knows Spanish.
He's in front of him in Spanish.
Yeah, he comes out with this. He be posting down here in Puerto Rico like you have no idea, and I be seeing him like, yo. He's hitting the lingo.
That's funny.
know,
I don't
plus,
know.
plus, the funny thing is he's doing the whole Selena tour in Texas. He's going to every site that Selena went, and he's going to all the background, the history, and everything, even her favorite taco stand.
Oh, goddamn.
He's going all deep.
Shane's being called out right now, guys.
But I just gotta say, I mean, like I'm impressed with that. I mean, like, I learned some things about Selena that I didn't know, and I learned it from Shane. So
I'm very glad. I'm very glad that we got to drag Shane a little bit just for fun. But Ron, dude, thank you so much.
Dude,
This
thank you.
this was
Thank
so
you.
much fun. This was so
Thank
fucking
you.
fun. I'm gonna message you literally as soon as we are done here. And
Yeah,
I'm
go
gonna
have
set up a
dinner.
group
Go have
chat.
dinner.
I'm gonna set up a group chat with you, me, and Shane. We're gonna set up a fucking show because this is literally one of the most fun Friday Night Lives I've done in a while. This has been great, man. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you were available to come on. Like, everything just happened to fall into place, and I am so thrilled and so happy that we can make this happen. So thank you, man. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Have a great night. Have a great meal, and good night, everyone. Take care. And yeah, Selena does rock. Have a good
All
one.
right, Ron. I will. I'll talk to you in a bit, man. I'm gonna drop you off the screen, do a little outro, and we will be done.
No problem. Take care.
Thanks, Ron. Guys, holy shit, that was fucking fun as fuck. Ron's already gone. Yeah. So, like I was saying, next week, we are going to do a special Friday Night Live. It's not going to be a usual one. It's going to be Nick and I answering your questions. So if you have any questions, if you're not part of the Discord, drop them in our Instagram DMs. And if you are part of the Discord, just message us directly. And since we haven't mentioned it, if you want to be part of the Discord, message us on Instagram. But yeah, this was super fun. I'm so excited. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so happy. This was such a good time. Anyway, guys, any questions? Drop into us in some sort of social, and we will see you next week. See you later. Peace.